Hey, welcome back to the Natural English Podcast. I am Alex, and I am here with Sarah.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Alex. I am happy to be here, and I am excited for today.
So, how are you today? Are you listening on the train, or maybe in your kitchen? Maybe you are walking somewhere. Have you taken any short trips recently, like a small visit to a city near your home? You do not need to answer out loud. Just think about it in your head.
Yeah, and if you did take a little trip, just remember it for later. It will help when we practice.
Today, we have a small listening challenge for you, so listen carefully. In a minute, Sarah will tell a short story. It is about one day in a city. A simple, real day trip. Your challenge is this. First, listen for the words day trip. When you hear day trip, maybe smile to yourself and think, okay, I heard it.
Oh no. Now I feel a little nervous. Everyone will listen very closely to my story.
You will be great. And second part of the challenge, try to answer this question at the end. Which city did Sarah visit? So, listen for the city name. That is your simple question.
Okay. So you listen for day trip and you listen for the city. I think you can do that. It is not too hard.
Let me say one new word here. A day trip is a short trip. You go in the morning and you come back in the evening. You do not sleep there. For example, I can say, on Saturday we took a day trip to the city.
Right. So it is not a long holiday. It is just one day out of your normal life.
Today, our theme is short city trips and day travel plans. We want to help you talk about a simple visit to a city, where you went, what you did, and how you felt. First, we will listen to my little story about a one-day city trip. Then, we will look at some useful travel phrases. And finally, we will help you talk about your own day trip.
Yes, that is the plan. And in my story, there is a small, funny mistake. A little awkward moment. Something a bit embarrassing. So listen for that too. You might think, oh no, Sarah, why did you do that?
Awkward just means a little uncomfortable, a bit strange. For example, if you say hello to someone and they do not see you, it feels awkward, a little, not comfortable. So Sarah has one awkward moment in her trip story.
Yeah, it is not a big problem, but it is a little funny, and it is very real, like normal weekend travel, not a perfect Instagram holiday.
Exactly. It is about real life. A simple Saturday in a city near your home. We want you to feel, hey, I can talk about this in English too. Okay, I think we are ready.
Yes, I am ready. I will tell the story in normal speed first, just how I really speak.
Okay, let us really listen to your day trip story now. Everyone, remember the listening challenge. Listen for the words day trip and try to remember which city Sarah visited.
All right, here comes my story. Normal speed first, and later we can slow it down.
Okay, so now, Sarah, this is your one-day trip story. Just relax and tell it like you tell a friend. Where did you go? And who did you go with?
So, this was a Sunday in spring. I took a train to a small city near my home. The city is called Brighton, and I went there with my friend Emma.
Brighton with Emma. Nice. So first, you arrived at the station, right? What was it like when you got there?
Yeah, so we arrived at the station around 10 in the morning. It was a bit crowded. Many people were walking fast, buying coffee, looking at the big timetable. I felt a little excited and also a bit nervous because I did not know the city very well.
I'm excited and a bit nervous. I know that feeling. So, after you arrived at the station, what did you do first?
First, we followed the signs to the city center. We walked out of the station and down a long street with many small shops. The weather was sunny, but a little windy. We were walking slowly, looking around and taking a few photos of the old buildings.
You were already taking photos? Nice. Did you go to the old town next? or somewhere else?
Yeah, after about 10 minutes, we reached the old town. I really like old towns. The streets were narrow, and the houses were colorful. There were lots of little cafes and a few street musicians. One man was playing guitar, and children were dancing a little. I felt very relaxed there.
That sounds really nice and calm. So you were walking in the old town, listening to music, and feeling relaxed. What did you do next there?
We wanted to try some local food. There was a small cafe on a corner. It looked friendly and not too busy. So we went in and ordered brunch. I had eggs and toast, and Emma had pancakes with fruit. The coffee was really good, and we just sat there, talked about our week, and watched people outside the window. I started to feel more comfortable in the city.
Nice. A slow morning with good coffee. So, after brunch, what was your plan for the afternoon?
Our plan was to see the sea and also visit a small museum. So, after we finished eating, we walked towards the beach. On the way, we passed a big square with a fountain. There were people sitting around. Some of them were eating ice cream. Some were just talking. The sun was shining, and I thought, okay, this is a really good day.
You were really enjoying the day already. Did you go straight to the beach, or did you stop somewhere?
We went straight there. When we arrived at the beach, the wind was stronger. The waves were coming in, and the sound of the water was loud, but in a good way. We walked along the beach for a while. Emma was taking pictures of the sea, and I was just looking at the water and the sky. I felt calm, but also a little tired from all the walking.
So you were walking by the water, feeling calm and a bit tired, and you still wanted to visit a museum, right?
Yes, we still wanted to go. There is a small art museum near the center. We did not want to walk all the way back, so we decided to take a tram from a stop near the beach. And this is where my funny mistake happened.
Ah, the fail moment. Okay, tell us. What happened with the tram?
So, we were standing at the tram stop, and there was a ticket machine. By the way, a ticket machine is that big box where you buy tickets by pressing buttons, before you get on the tram or train. So I tried to buy 2 tickets. I was reading the screen, but there were many options. Zone 1, Zone 2, day pass, single. I was a bit confused.
Yeah, those machines can be really confusing. So, what did you choose in the end?
I thought I chose 2 normal tickets, but actually, I bought 2 tickets for the next day. Not for that Sunday, for Monday. I did not see the date. So we got on the tram. It was a little crowded, and we were standing near the door. The tram was moving, and we were talking about the museum. I was feeling happy, because I thought, okay, this is easy.
So you were on the tram, feeling happy, and you did not know about the ticket problem yet. How did you find out?
After a few minutes, a ticket inspector came. He was checking everyone's ticket. When he looked at our tickets, he was very polite, but he said, these are for tomorrow." And I was like, oh no. My face got really hot. I felt so embarrassed. I said, "Oh, I am so sorry. It was a mistake. I am not from here." I was really worried for a moment.
Ouch. That is an awkward moment. So, how did you feel when he told you that, besides embarrassed and worried?
I felt a bit stupid, to be honest. I was thinking, why did I not check the date? But the inspector was kind. He explained, slowly, how to buy the correct ticket. And he let us buy new tickets on the tram. So in the end, it was okay. After that, Emma and I were laughing about it. While we were riding to the museum, we kept saying, "Next time, check the date."
At least the inspector was nice, and now you have a good story. So, you finally arrived at the museum. How was it there?
The museum was small but really interesting. There was an exhibition with local artists. We walked slowly through the rooms and looked at the paintings. Some were very colorful, others were dark. It was quiet inside, and my legs were a bit tired, but my mind was kind of fresh again. I enjoyed reading the short texts next to the pictures. Time was passing quickly while we were walking around.
So you relaxed in the museum, even though your legs were tired. After that, did you do anything else in the city, or was it time to go back?
After the museum, we were hungry again. It was late afternoon. We went back to the center, and we found another cafe. This one was more modern. We shared a piece of cake and had some tea. We were just sitting there, talking quietly, and looking at our photos from the day. I felt tired, but in a good way. You know, like after a long but happy day.
Yeah, that nice kind of tired. So, how did the day end? How was the trip back home?
In the early evening, we walked back to the station. The sky was getting darker, and some people were going home from the beach. We bought our train tickets, and this time I checked everything very carefully. On the train back, I was looking out of the window while the city was getting smaller behind us. Emma was listening to music. I felt relaxed, and I was a little proud that we did so much in just one day, even with the ticket mistake.
Nice. So, for our listeners, I have a tiny listening challenge. Let me ask you 2 questions about Sarah's story. First, which city did Sarah visit for her one-day trip?
Menometer. Okay, think for a second. It started with a B, by the sea.
And second question, what was her funny mistake on the tram? So, just answer in your head or say it out loud. I will give you a moment.
You can even pause the audio if you need more time.
All right, here are the answers. The first question, which city did Sarah visit? She went to Brighton for one day. And the second question, what was her funny mistake? She bought tram tickets for the wrong day, for Monday, not for Sunday. If you got these, nice job. You followed the story really well.
Yeah, and just to say it again, very simply, I spent one day in Brighton with my friend Emma. We walked around the old town, went to the beach, visited a small art museum, and I made a mistake with the tram tickets. But in the end, it was still a really good day.
And Sarah, you used a lot of useful travel phrases in your story, like, I took a train, and we walked around the old town. And also, it was crowded at the station. Let us slow down next and look at some of these expressions more closely so our listeners can use them for their own trips.
Yeah, that sounds good. I will pick some easy, but very natural phrases from my story, and we can show how to use them in real conversations.
So now, let's zoom in on some useful phrases from my little day in the city. Not grammar rules, just words you can really use.
Yeah, and we could keep it simple. We choose a phrase from your story. You try a kind of textbook version. Then I give a more natural version. Nice and easy.
Okay, first one. How did I go to the city? If I speak like a robot, I might say, I moved by train to the city. Is that okay?
You're not wrong, but it's not wrong, but it's not natural. We usually say, I took the train to the city. Or, more casual, I got the train to the city. So the key phrase here is, I took the train. It just means that was your transport.
Right. I took the train. So I could say, last weekend I took the train to Berlin. Something like that.
Exactly. Or, we took the train to the city in the morning. Very common, very natural.
Can I also say, I used the train?
We understand it, but people almost never say that about a trip. I used the train sounds a bit like a report. For a normal story, just say, I took the train, or I got the train. Those are the ones to remember.
Okay, next. In my story, I said we stayed in the city center all day. If I make it very textbook, I might say, we passed the time in the city center. How does that sound?
It sounds a little strange for a trip. Much more natural is, we spent the day in the city center. So, spend the day is a really useful phrase. It means, that is where your day went, where your time went.
So I can say, we spent the day in the city center. Or maybe, we spent the day by the river.
Yeah, perfect. One more example. On Sunday, we spent the day at the beach. So, place plus, spent the day. Very simple.
Nice. Next one. In the story, I talked about walking in the old streets. If I try a formal version, I might say, we walked in the old town. Is that okay? Or is there something better?
It's okay, but what we usually say is, we walked around the old town. Walked around is great for a short trip story. It gives the feeling that you move, you look, you explore. So, walk around is the key phrase here.
So, in the afternoon, we walked around the old town and took photos. That sounds nice.
Yes, that's perfect. Another example. We walked around the city center and did some shopping. So if you talk about exploring a place, use walked around. If you just go straight, maybe to work, then it's just walked.
Got it. From my story, I also remember the museum. If I try a very stiff version, we visited a museum establishment. That sounds terrible. What's the normal way?
Yeah, museum establishment is way too much. You can just say, we visited a museum. But even more natural in a casual story is, we checked out a museum. Check out. Here means go and see it, try it, experience it.
So check out is like, we checked out a new cafe near the station. We went, we tried it.
Exactly. Or, in the afternoon, we checked out a modern art museum. It's friendly, natural, perfect for talking about a day trip.
Okay, next part of my day. I remember we had a break. A very robotic version would be, we made a pause in order to drink coffee. How would you fix that?
Yeah, no one talks like that on a trip. We usually say, we stopped for coffee. Short and very common. So the phrase is, stop for coffee. It means you take a little break and you have a drink or a snack.
So I can say, we stopped for coffee near the station. Or, we stopped for coffee and a slice of cake.
Yes, and not only coffee. You can say, we stopped for lunch. We stopped for ice cream. Perfect for a relaxed travel story.
Now, the city in my story was busy. If I speak like a textbook, I might say, there were many people. Is that what you would say?
We can say that, but more natural is, it was really crowded. Crowded means there are a lot of people in a small space. So you feel it is full. It's a great word for travel.
So I could say, the city center was really crowded on Saturday. Or maybe, the museum was super crowded in the afternoon.
Yes, that's exactly how we use it. You can also say, it felt a bit crowded, if it was busy but not terrible. So, really crowded or a bit crowded. Nice for describing the feeling.
In my story, we also had a little problem. We did not know where we were for a moment. If I try to make it too formal, I might say, we lost our way. Is that something people say?
Some people say it, but these days, a much more common phrase is, we got a bit lost. I like a bit lost. I like a bit lost because it sounds soft. Not a big problem. Just a small adventure.
So in my story, I could say, we got a bit lost in the old town, but it was fun. That feels friendly.
Yeah, friendly and very natural. Another example, we got a bit lost on the way to the museum, but we found a great cafe. So you can use it when the problem leads to something nice.
Okay, last part of the day, going home. If I try a stiff version, I might say, we returned to our house in the evening. How would you say this in real life?
I would say, we headed back in the evening. Headed back is a great phrase. It means you start to go home or go back to where you started. It's relaxed, very common in stories.
So for example, we headed back in the evening because we were tired. Or, we headed back around 7.
Perfect. You can also say, we headed back to the station. We headed back to the hotel. It always has this feeling of, okay, time to go back now.
So in this chapter, we looked at natural phrases like, took the train, spent the day, walked around, checked out a museum, stopped for coffee. really crowded, got a bit lost, and headed back in the evening. Now we know some really useful phrases like spend the day and get lost. But how can our listeners put these phrases together to talk about their own day trips in a simple, clear way?
Yeah, exactly. We have the pieces, the words. Next, let's build a simple structure, like a small story template, where you went, what you did, and how you felt. In the next part, we can put these phrases into that template, so listeners can tell their own short trip stories.
So, in this part, we want to make your day trip story simple and clear.
Yeah, we do not want a perfect story. We want an easy story that other people can follow.
You have a nice pattern for this, right? A kind of small template for a trip story.
Yes, a very small one. 3 parts. First, when and where. Second, what you did, in order. Third, how you felt and your opinion.
Okay, so part 1, when and where. What can that sound like?
You can say something like, last weekend I went to Paris for a day trip. Very short. Just time plus city plus day trip.
Right. So, last weekend, last month, in July, and then the city.
Exactly. Or, on Saturday I went to Berlin for 1 day. That is enough for the first part.
Nice. Then we move to part 2, what you did in order.
Yes. And here, you can use some easy little words to show the order. For example, first, then, after that, finally.
So it could be like, first we went to the museum, then we walked by the river. After that we had lunch, and finally we took the train home.
Exactly. That is a good, clear order. By the way, one useful word here is finally. Finally means the last thing in your story. For example, finally we had ice cream near the station.
Got it. First then, after that finally. All in past, right? We went, we walked, we had.
Yes, past. Because the trip is finished, but it is normal to mix sometimes. So, let us try a little practice, and we can fix it together.
Okay, I will try a fake trip. Last Sunday I go to Naples for a day trip. First we visit the old town, then we eat pizza. After we go to a cafe, and finally we come back home. It was very fun, and I feel very relaxed.
Nice job. The structure is there. Now let us make it sound more natural. I will say a corrected version slowly. Last Sunday, I went to Naples for a day trip. First, we visited the old town. Then we ate pizza. After that, we went to a cafe. And finally, we came back home. It was really fun, and I felt very relaxed.
Okay. So not I go, but I went. Not we eat, but we ate. And also, you said, after that, we went to a cafe.
Yes, you said, after we go to a cafe. Many learners say something like this. But the simple pattern is, after that, we went to a cafe. After that is a small, complete time phrase. It is easy, and it sounds natural.
So I can remember, after that plus past. After that, we took photos. After that, we went shopping.
Exactly. That is a great little block for your story. So we have part 1, when and where. Part 2, what you did, with first, then, after that, finally.
And then part 3, feelings and opinion.
Yes, this part gives life to your story. You can say simple things like, it was relaxing. It was a bit stressful. It was surprising. Or, I was really happy. I was disappointed.
Can you explain quickly, relaxing?
Sure. Relaxing means the trip helped your body and mind to feel calm. No pressure. No big stress. For example, the city was quiet and green. It was very relaxing.
Nice. And another word you used there was disappointed.
Yes, disappointed is useful. Disappointed means you wanted something good, but it was not so good. So you feel a little sad or not happy. For example, The museum was closed, so I was disappointed.
Okay, let me try the full 3 parts with feelings. Last Sunday, I went to Naples for a day trip. First, we visited the old town, then we ate pizza. After that, we went to a cafe, and finally, we came back home. It was really relaxing, and I was very happy.
That is great. Very clear, very B1. Now, sometimes people want to compare trips, right?
Yes, I wanted to ask. Can I say something like, this trip was more relaxing than my last one?
Yes, that is perfect. We have a small pattern here. More, plus an adjective, plus than. So, this trip was more relaxing than my last one. Or, the city was more interesting than I expected.
So I can also say, the train was more crowded than I thought?
Yes, exactly. That is a very natural comparison. You can add this in part 3, the feelings and opinion part.
One more thing. Earlier in the episode, we talked about a small fail or a problem on the trip. How can I put that in this simple story?
Great point. You can use a small pattern like we plus the problem and then how you felt and maybe the positive side. For example, we got lost and I felt a bit embarrassed, but now it is a funny memory.
Ah, that is nice. So in part 2, I can say, after that, we got lost in the small streets. And in part 3, I felt a bit embarrassed, but now it is a funny memory.
Yes, that fits the pattern very well. And notice the phrase, a funny memory. Memory here means something from the past that you remember. So a funny memory is a small story from your past that makes you smile now.
Okay, so let me say the template again just one more time for everyone. Part 1, when and where. For example, last weekend I went to Rome for a day trip. Part 2, what you did in order. First, then, after that, finally, all in the past. Part 3, how you felt and your opinion. Things like, it was relaxing, or I was disappointed, or this trip was more relaxing than my last one, or even a small fail like, we got lost and I felt a bit embarrassed, but now it is a funny memory.
Exactly. And you do not need many details. Just follow these 3 steps, and your day trip story will be easy to understand.
So now we have a simple pattern to talk about a day trip, when and where, what you did, and how you felt. Let us help our listeners practice this and think about their own short trip or a trip they want to take.
Yes, let us do that. In the next part, we will guide you step by step. You can pause, think, and say your own story with this pattern.
Okay, now it is your turn. This part might feel a little strange because you are probably alone, maybe on a train or walking. But try to really speak out loud, not just in your head.
Yeah, think of us like 2 friends next to you. We are asking you questions, and you answer. Slowly, no pressure.
So, first step. Choose a city and a time. Past or future. A real trip or an imaginary one. For example, I could say, last month I went to Berlin for a day trip. Or, next weekend I am going to visit Rome for one day. All right, now it is your turn. Think of your city and your time. I will give you a moment. Then say one short sentence. Something like, last year I went to, or next month I am going to. Ready? Speak after the beep or after my pause. Last month I went to Berlin for a day trip. Now you.
Nice. If you want one more idea, you can also say, yesterday I spent one day in London, or tomorrow I am visiting Sydney for one day. So, again, your turn. Say one clear sentence with your city and time. You can repeat, or you can change your idea. Ready and go.
Good. If you only said a few words, that is okay. We build it step by step. Now, step 2. We talk about what you did or what you will do. We will use a simple pattern. First, then after that, finally. This is our little travel storyline. Listen to my example first. First, I walked around the old town. Then I checked out a big museum. After that, I stopped for coffee at a small cafe. Finally, I headed back to the station. So, now we use that frame for you.
We will do it one part at a time. You can copy the structure and change just a few words. Do not worry about perfect grammar. Just try to say something.
Okay, first sentence. Start with first I, maybe? First, I walked around the city center. Now, your turn. Say first I and add your idea. First, I walked around the city center. Now you.
If that was hard, you can keep it very short. For example, first, I took the train. Or, first, I met my friend. You can pause and try again if you want.
Great. Next, we use then. I will say one example, then you. Then I checked out a famous market. Now you. Say, then I, and add your activity. Maybe, then I took photos, or then I visited a museum. Okay. Then I checked out a famous market. Now your sentence.
By the way, that verb checked out means I went to see something. I tried it. For example, we checked out a new cafe near the station. It is very common in travel stories.
Nice. Now, after that. This is for the next part of your day. Listen. After that, I stopped for coffee and a small snack. Now you. Say, after that, I, and add your idea. Maybe, after that, I got a little lost. Or, after that, I relaxed in a park. Okay. After that, I stopped for coffee and a small snack. Your turn.
If you want to make it more interesting, you can add a tiny problem, like, after that, I waited in a long line for the bus. After that, I almost missed my train.
Yeah, a small problem makes the story more real. One useful word here is delay. Delay means something is late. For example, my train had a 30-minute delay. Okay, now the last step in this part. Finally, this is for the end of your day. Listen first. Finally, I headed back home in the evening. Now you. Say, finally, I, and tell me how your day finished. Finally, I headed back home in the evening. Your turn.
If you are not sure, you can say something simple like, finally, I went back to my hotel. Or, finally, I took the train home. Simple is okay.
All right, now you have a basic story, city and time, and your day first. Then, after that, finally, let us add one little detail about a problem. Just one line. Listen. At one point, I got a bit lost in a small street. Or, for example, I had to wait because the bus was delayed. Now you. Choose one tiny problem. Maybe, I could not find the cafe. Or, I was nervous to order coffee in English. Make one short sentence about that.
Many people feel that. Nervous to speak English in a cafe or a shop. You can say, I was worried about my English. I felt shy when I ordered. If that happened to you, you can put it in your story.
Okay, last big step. We talk about your feelings and your opinion. We will use 3 easy frames. It was, I felt the best part was, listen to my example. It was a really interesting day. I felt tired, but happy. The best part was walking next to the river in the evening. Now we do it slowly, together.
So first, it was, you can change the adjective. You can say exciting, relaxing, a bit stressful, really fun, really interesting. Try not to use only fun every time.
Let us try. I will say my line, then you say your line. It was a really interesting day. Now you start with it was and choose your word. It was a really interesting day. Your turn.
You could also say, it was a bit stressful, but good. Or, it was very relaxing. If you want, pause here and try a few versions.
Next one. I felt, this is about you. Listen. I felt curious and a little tired. Curious means you really want to know more about something. For example, I felt curious about the local food. Okay, now you. Say, I felt and add 2 words. Maybe, I felt relaxed and happy. Or, I felt a bit nervous. I felt curious and a little tired. Your turn.
If it is hard to find 2 words, 1 is enough. Just I felt happy, or I felt tired. Keep it simple if you need.
Okay, last frame. The best part was, this is your highlight. Listen, the best part was trying street food in the market. Now you, think for a second. What was your best moment? Or what do you think will be the best moment? Say, the best part was, and finish the sentence. The best part was trying street food in the market. Your turn.
You might say, the best part was taking photos. Or, the best part was just walking with my friend. There is no wrong answer. It is your story.
Now, if you want a little challenge, you can put everything together. One mini story. You can pause the podcast and try to say it from the beginning. City and time. First, then, after that, finally. A small problem. And your feelings. It does not need to be perfect. Just try.
And remember, speaking alone like this can feel awkward. That is totally normal. But even if you only say 2 or 3 sentences, you are still training your mouth and your brain in English. That is real practice.
Nice work. Really. Even if you only spoke a little, that is already good practice. You can pause and repeat this part again later with a different city or the same one. In the next part, we will review what you learned today, and I will ask you one small reflection question about your own travel English. So, stay with us.
Yeah. Next, we will quickly look back at today's phrases, and I will ask you to think about one thing you want to try on your next trip. Let us move into the recap.
So, we are at the end of this episode now. Thanks for staying with us for this little day trip in English. Let us just look back for a moment.
Yeah, take a breath. Okay, so today, we practiced 3 main things. First, how to say where you went for a short trip. Then, how to talk about what you did in order. And finally, how to say how you felt, and also small problems or funny mistakes.
Right. So maybe we can quickly repeat some key phrases, not all of them, just a few of the most useful ones.
Yeah. So first, to start your story, you can say, I went to for a day trip. For example, I went to London for a day trip. This is simple, but very powerful. It gives the place and the type of trip.
And then to talk about the day, you can use, we spent the day. Like, we spent the day walking around the old town. This shows how you used your time.
And one more that I really like is, we got a bit lost. A bit means not a big problem, just small. So you can say, we got a bit lost, but it was okay. This is great for those little travel mistakes.
Yeah, and remember, small mistakes are normal. They are part of the story. They actually make your trip more interesting to tell.
Exactly. You heard my story earlier. I felt a bit stressed in that moment, but now it is kind of funny, and it gives me something real to say when I speak in English.
So now, let us talk about you. If you can, try to answer out loud, speak to us, or just speak to the air. It still helps your English.
Yeah, and do not worry if it feels strange. Talking to yourself is actually a very good language practice.
Okay, first question. What city do you want to visit for a one-day trip? Just say, I want to go to for a day trip because. I will give you a few seconds now.
Nice. And here is another question for you. Think about your last day trip. Where did you go? What did you do? And how did you feel?
You can use this simple 3-part structure. Number 1, where you went. Number 2, what you did in order. Number 3, how you felt, and any small problem. Try to say 1 or 2 sentences for each part.
For example, you could start like this. I went to the city center for a day trip. We spent the day walking around and taking photos. It was really nice, but we got a bit lost. I felt tired but happy. You can change the city, the activities, the feelings, make it true for you.
Now, a small, real-life homework for you. Something you can actually do after this episode.
Yeah. So here is a practical next step. Later today, you can write a short paragraph. Just 5 or 6 lines. Describe one-day trip. Use the phrases, I went for a day trip. We spent the day. I felt. Or, if you prefer speaking,
You can record a 30-second voice message on your phone. Just talk like you talk to a friend. Do not try to be perfect. Just tell your day trip story.
and then, if you want, share it with someone. Maybe your teacher, maybe a friend, maybe a language partner. Ask them, can you listen and tell me one thing I did well? Even just one small good point can motivate you.
Before we finish, let us explain one last useful word. The word is reflect. To reflect means to think calmly about something that happened, not quickly, slowly. For example, after my trip, I took a few minutes to reflect on my day. So right now, you are reflecting on your English and your travel.
And this reflection is important. When you think about your day trips in English, you are not only remembering travel, you are also growing your speaking skills.
So, thank you for spending part of your day with us. We really hope this helps you feel more ready to talk about your trips. You can always listen again, maybe before your next weekend in a new city. Use the episode like a warm-up for your English.
Yeah, take us with you on the train or the bus. Listen and then try the phrases in real life. Even one small conversation is great practice.
All right, that is all from us for today. Thanks again for listening to the Natural English Podcast. Take care, enjoy your next day trip, and keep speaking.
Bye for now. See you in the next episode.